To bring much of what we've done this week together, in this video we're going to use the techniques we have discussed so far in the course to do some analysis of this advertisement for Tiger Beer. The image shows the back of a young woman with blue or purple hair and many tattoos standing slightly off-centre, wearing a black crop top and pink short shorts. Her hands are placed on a cement wall with a beer beside her right hand, and she looks out over a city skyline at dawn or dusk. The caption says, "East of what you know," and there's a logo for the brand Tiger. As with last time, we can start by thinking about the major signs in the image and their connotations. I'm going to start with the city setting. There are a number of buildings that we can see, both modern and older, for example, what looks like a church spire. Her hands rest on a cement fence or barrier of some description, but the suggestion is that this space is modern and desirable. The colour of this image suggests a blue filter and a sense of calm and order. We can also consider this young woman and the connotations of her appearance. The woman is a central focus, and we are positioned to look directly at her, possibly slightly looking up given how the image is framed. We see her bottom and legs as well as her hands and back. The colour of her hair, clearly dyed, and tattoos are suggestive of something a bit edgy or different. We can also draw on the stereotypes around gendered display. She is not looking at the camera. Her body and head are slightly canted. Her hands and fingers show the shape of the wall, all elements which have been discussed in relation to stereotypes of femininity. There is the suggestion of sexualization here in the shortness of her shorts and that she doesn't look back at the camera. At this point, it's useful to be aware of the term intersectionality. Created by Kimberly Crenshaw, it draws attention to the multiple intersections of oppression experienced by people who belong to more than one marginalised identity. In their book Intersectionality: Key Concepts, Patricia Hill Collins and Surma Bilge define intersectionality as a way of understanding and analysing the complexity in the world, in people, and in human experiences. They note that when it comes to social inequality, people's lives and the organisation of power in a given society are better understood as being shaped not by a single axis of social division, be it race or gender or class, but by many axes that work together and influence each other. What is significant here is that while we might not know the ethnicity of this woman from this shot, when combined with a range of images that are part of the campaign, it's clear that she's from an Asian background. This is significant because Asian women have often been harmfully stereotyped as both sexualized and exotic, and submissive or passive. To what extent does this ad perpetuate or draw on these stereotypes in selling this beer? So Tiger is a Singaporean brand. We can think about the ways the tagline anchors meaning here, east of what you know. For many years, a wide range of places, including countries in Asia and the Middle East, have been conveyed as the East and Oriental, different. This perpetuates a binary between East, often associated with the exotic, danger and disorder, and the West, with rationality and order. The theorist Edward Said notes that these concepts of the East and Orientalism were produced by Europe through the power Europe held to imagine and thus produce understandings of other places in order to maintain and reproduce their own power, diminishing these other spaces. It seems this ad reinstates and draws upon these binaries. The primary idea seems to be that this beer is something different to what you expect, but such signs are also polysemic. They can be read in many different ways. For example, you might look at this ad, produced in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and note that Singapore is actually to the west. While obviously the ad is drawing on historical ideas of difference, it could be read to suggest that this isn't the stereotype you'd expect. While it's a Singaporean beer, it's a European style. Interestingly, the creators of this ad campaign are based in Auckland, and they note on their website that our task was to develop a new positioning for Tiger, which celebrated the beer's Eastern roots and encouraged Western drinkers to step outside their comfort zones and explore the unfamiliar. What is important to note is that while this is what the creators write, the ad doesn't have to be read and interpreted in that same way. These are some ways we can think about this ad. What do you think? Hopefully this has given you some things to think about as you analyse media more generally.